I hate to follow Nick. You have to sound flat after Nick gets up here. That's his thing. Anyway, we're talking about Agenda 21. I assume most of you know at least something about Agenda 21's existence. But about a year and a half ago, members of the New Jersey Tea Party Caucus met with a businessman, John Anthony, who had been doing some speaking about Agenda 21. And we asked him if he would be willing to develop a presentation, a multimedia presentation that could be rolled out, kind of so that people could be educated and made aware of this. And we said, you know, if you do that, the New Jersey Tea Party Caucus would make sure that this got presented across New Jersey to its citizens and to some of its governing bodies and municipalities. And so, after that initial meeting was a follow-up meeting. The follow-up meeting with John was to take a look at what he had produced. We provided feedback and suggestions to it. It was a great presentation. We said it needed to be shortened up and some other enhancements made to it. And John did that. And what got rolled out was an initial 14-minute primer on Agenda 21, which we have shown to many, many people. Since that time, what has happened is you see presentations to all sorts of bodies, governing bodies around the state, freeholders, councils, town councils, to citizens all across New Jersey. Many of you may have heard of the New Jersey Redevelopment Plan. And there were 6 public hearings on that plan. And citizens have been coming out in droves to those meetings to express serious concerns about what looks like very Agenda 21 friendly elements in that New Jersey Redevelopment Plan. So, in fact, the American Planning Association has been so, agitated or upset or concerned about this reaction that they have now they are now holding seminars, training seminars on how to react to these wingnuts that show up at meetings talking about Agenda 21, sustainable development, and the International Council on Local Environmental Issues. So, rather than, because my time up here, I want to keep it short, I definitely want to be done before the main course comes out. If you take a look, there is a connection between the UN's Agenda 21, the Sustainable Development Movement, and ICLEI, which is the International Council on Local Environmental Issues. The best way to communicate that philosophy, and I would even say theology of environment, is to read to you from their own documents, very brief snippets. You'll get the sense of what that's all about. Why many people have not heard about this is not by accident. And I'll read to you why many people have not heard of it. There are 2 reasons, I think, basically, maybe more. One is you have to read the darn documents, because in the documents it's pretty clear what they're saying. The UN Agendas document, the ICLEI documents, very, very clear in there once you look at it. But I'll tell you why you may not have heard about it. J. Derry Lawrence was President Clinton's advisor to the President's Sustainable Development Council. And in 2002, J. Derry Lawrence said the following: participating in a UN-advocated planning process would very likely bring out many of the conspiracy-fixated groups and individuals in our society, such as the National Rifle Association, I guess he didn't like that, citizen militias, and some members of Congress. This segment of our society who fear one world government and a UN invasion of the United States through which our individual freedom would be stripped away, would actively work to defeat any elected official who joined the conspiracy by undertaking LA 21, which is Local Agenda 21. So, and here's the key phrase, so we will call our processes something else, such as comprehensive planning, growth management, and smart growth. Plus there's a whole other number of items in there, such as sustainable development, walkable communities, livable communities. All those are code words for Agenda 21 sustainable development. Now, to give you a little bit more of the philosophy and the ideology, because nobody's really against cleaning up air or water. Nobody's against that. But when you have environmental protection as wrapping paper for a political ideology, then we have to be alert to that. Because when you unwrap that paper, you find something very radical in there about really restructuring our economy and restructuring American lifestyles, traditional American lifestyles, and not for the better. So let me just read to you a couple of snippets that will give you a sense of this. The first is from the United Nations Conference on Human Settlements. This was in 1976. This goes back a ways. We've been working on this for quite a few years. And here's the quote. Land cannot be treated as an ordinary asset controlled by individuals. Private land ownership is also a principal instrument of accumulation and concentration of wealth, and therefore contributes to social injustice. Public control of land use is therefore indispensable. Basically saying private property equals social injustice. And when you read further in those documents, you will find that therefore private property must be eliminated, because private property, especially in the US, because we revere that so much, is really a cause of poverty around the world. And therefore, that leads to the second item, which is we really have to redistribute our income, our taxpayer money, our wealth, not just within the United States, but to, and this is over and over again, the less developed countries. There are a couple other beauties that I will read to you. Here, this is from Harvey Rubin, who was on the ICLEI Executive Committee, and he was a keynote speaker for ICLEI conference in 2010. Very briefly, what he talks about here is what must happen in order for sustainable development to be implemented. And here's his quote. Individual rights will have to take a back seat to the collective. Scary stuff. Now,
that's Marxism 101, no?
Yeah, it sounds familiar, doesn't it? Now, here's something that will tell you about lifestyle change. And read here, in between these lines, you can interpret this, but it's pretty clear. This is from the Biodiversity Assessment Report, United Nations 1992. This is what is not sustainable. In other words, we can't continue, we have to restrict it, we have to eliminate it. This is mind-blowing. This is what is not, it was not sustainable. Ski runs, grazing of livestock, this is a food production issue now. Plowing of soil, building fences, industry, single-family homes, paved and tarred roads, logging activities, dams and reservoirs, power line construction, energy, economic systems that fail to set proper value on the environment. And if you read on, you're talking about capitalism and free markets. Also, golf courses are mixed. Not good. So, now, when you hear, and you will hear this from some people, it's a UN conspiracy stuff, there's no connection, this is all local zoning issues. This is their own words. And ICLEI, right, the International Council on Local Environmental Issues, is the implementation arm. Their mission from the UN has been to insert sustainable development into every single municipality in the United States. And they're doing it, and they've been doing it. So, the good news is that we've seen people starting to become more and more aware, including municipalities. Somerset County and Monmouth County have failed to renew their membership in ICLEI, decided not to renew it. That leaves only one county so far, and that's Passaic County. Passaic County has, at this point, decided, although they voted to pay their membership to ICLEI in November, I think last November, they just recently, by a couple of the freeholders' efforts, have delayed the actual payment of that. And we're working to have them not renew that. There's no reason to pay membership to an organization that's implementing that kind of environmental theology, as they call it. You've seen resolutions, Republican National Committee resolution against Agenda 21. You've seen resolutions from New Hampshire and Maryland that are starting to come up now, pulling out of ICLEI, pulling back from sustainable development, when sustainable development means more than just air, clean air and water. So, it's up to us to be aware, to get educated, and to show up when necessary. Now, what's that? Oh, okay. There are a couple of websites for those of you who want to go and become really educated on this. You can go to the, first you can go to the NJTPartyCaucus.com. On there, you'll look at the agenda tab, click on that, and you will see John Anthony's website. He has the 14-minute primer. You can download that, you can watch it, and a number of also downloadable documents that are very, very important. FreedomAdvocates.com also has a lot of information on that. The other thing is Tom DeWeese, D-E-W-E-E-S-E. If you Google that, you find that Tom has just come out with what I would call an off-the-shelf kit that and almost anyone you read that, you become familiar with it, you can do a presentation to your to any citizen group or to your local council or freeholder group. Anyway, I'm going to get off of here now.
I got a question before you go, if you don't mind. This ICLEI, it's paid for by some type of a UN commission.
ICLEI has money from many different companies.
So they also get
they're an NGO.
money from within townships. Right, so my question is,
no. ICLEI has money to give townships. That's how they get them on board.
Okay, all right. So that's how they infiltrate, so to speak, the council members in individual towns.
Yeah.
By persuading them or
Yeah.
bribing them to
Just say, hey, look, we have software for you. You can do energy audits. Because of course, people say, yeah, that sounds good to me, energy audits. So maybe there's nothing wrong with energy audits. But the follow-up on that is to establish goals on restricting your energy.
Okay, so that's how they mesh in with the council members from the UN to the lower levels of the council.
Yes, that's the mission of ICLEI. And they have money. They have a lot of money, ICLEI. And they spread that around. And of course, what municipalities are looking for money nowadays?
There's also an organization, New Jersey, called Sustainable Jersey.
Sustainable New
And
Jersey.
they are very aggressive. They train people out. I went to Rutgers with your one, and they say a word was not this, but they've got a very slick piece of material which gives incentives to communities, and they get recognized by how much
Yeah.
they do. So,
Dave is talking about sustainable New Jersey. Again, and I've been to a number of meetings with some of these other Tea Party people. We don't go there as Tea Party members. We go there just as regular people because we are citizens, and we're representing our concerns about that. A lot of those meetings are very much recruitment meetings. They're looking for citizens to take leadership roles for sustainable development in the municipality, and they have a lot of training, and it's good training. They have a lot of money behind it to do it.
One question about the local JCP&L, PSE&G, they're all asking their customers to put this controller on their heat.
Oh, smart meters? Smart meters.
So they want to control how much heat you're allowed to turn up your service.
Yeah, California did this, and they started to find out that there were a lot of problems with the smart meters, including some kinds of radio waves that were being emitted that seemed to be harmful. So, of course, when the government gets into it and controls everything, you can count on side effects that are not necessarily good. Am I finished?
Yep.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.